everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to Honest About the Irish Show. We're a couple days away from Christmas, the most wonderful time of the year, the most celebrated holiday in America. Everyone is excited about what they're going to get under the Christmas tree. Everyone is excited about that one gift that they've wanted all year, the PlayStation 5, or like those Lexus commercials where the extremely attractive couple who live in the $3 million home and dress very nice for some reason every time they're in the commercial. Either the husband or the wife gets the $60,000 SUV, and you see that love moment, you see the honeymoon period moment of seeing that car for the first time, but then the husband or the wife sees a car payment and they start fighting over finances. No, you don't see that part because they leave that stuff out, because that's how most Americans would be if a husband bought a car for his wife and had car payments, because that's just how it is. You didn't consult with me, you did what? So, that's how Christmas is with most families, a dysfunctionality. If you were a fly in a wall, you'd be surprised how families argue over certain things, politics, sports, or whatever is going on in the country. It's not like in the commercials where the extremely attractive wife or the extremely attractive husband are all happy and joy because they just got a $70,000 car. Now, since it is a Christmas spirit, and if Santa Claus came to me, and B-Man does have the Christmas spirit right now because he's jolly, but if Santa Claus came to me and said, B-Man, what are the 3 things that you want? You could have any 3 things that you want. And I said, well, Santa, there's 3 things I want from not Brian Kelly. He's gone. He's in LSU. There's 3 things I want from Marcus Freeman. Now, since Marcus Freeman is the head coach of Notre Dame, and since Marcus Freeman has gone through the honeymoon period at Notre Dame with introducing his beautiful wife and his beautiful 6 children and all the love and joy, kind of like the holiday spirit, since everything is settled in, he's getting ready for the Fiesta Bowl here on New Year's Day, just over a week away on ESPN at 12 noon. Make sure you tune into that game. I love the bowl season. But since his official chapter begins on New Year's Day, the most important thing, number one, if there was 3 things that I would like to see Marcus Freeman deliver on, is number one, of course, win a national championship, do what Brian Kelly couldn't do, capitalize on one thing that Brian Kelly couldn't do, and that is, of course, win a national championship. Of course, Brian Kelly got Notre Dame there in 2012. We all know the end result, got blown out by Alabama. Got there in 2018 in the semifinal college football game in the Cotton Bowl, and we all know the end result to that. They lost to Clemson, and of course, just last year in the Rose Bowl, they got blown out by Alabama as well. So the end result, the last 3 times that they've been on the big stage, you would like to see Marcus Freeman expand on that and win a national championship. I don't care if Marcus Freeman is at Notre Dame for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, and he wins only 1 national championship. That is the only thing that he needs to accomplish to be more successful than Brian Kelly. I don't care about how many wins Brian Kelly has had or all the big wins he's had. He's only had 1 big win against Clemson and maybe against Oklahoma in 2012. That's about it. But just that 1 national championship would be all Marcus Freeman would need to have to be bigger than anything at Notre Dame except for Lou Holtz in the last 30 to 40 years. Now, the number 2 important thing, and this actually is relevant to number 1, in order for you to win a national championship in college football, you have to have the star-studded quarterback. And that's one thing that Brian Kelly can never do, is that he was never a quarterback whisperer. I think his most successful project as a quarterback was Ian Book, but he was good, but he wasn't great. I don't care about all the stats that he led at Notre Dame. He was a leader in terms of wins, I believe. The winning percentage at Notre Dame, Ian Book was. But if you can develop a quarterback that goes to the next level and goes to the NFL after winning a couple national championships or just 1 national championship and goes to the NFL and he's a star quarterback who's playing right away on Sundays and eventually wins the Super Bowl, that's what I want to see at Notre Dame. And that's what I want Marcus Freeman to see. A second thing is be a quarterback whisperer, because what is the big thing about people and star quarterbacks they complain about? Well, they leave their second or third year, their sophomore or junior year after winning a national championship because they've already accomplished what they needed to do in college. It's not the same. Listen, I want Notre Dame to have that problem. I want Notre Dame to have a quarterback who's so great he leaves after 3 years after winning a couple national championships and go to the NFL and play every Sunday right away. That's something Notre Dame hasn't had in a long, long time. And if why do I keep on bringing up Brian Kelly? I'm sorry, Marcus Freeman. I got to get used to it. If Marcus Freeman can accomplish those 2 things, a star-studded quarterback, winning a national championship, and he delivers on those things, then that's the most important thing that Notre Dame would need. Of course, that's the most common sense thing that Notre Dame would need to become relevant in terms of a national powerhouse. Now, what is the number three thing that I want Marcus Freeman to deliver on? I want Marcus Freeman to convince Notre Dame, the big shots at Notre Dame, hey, we need to join a conference. We are relevant, but we need to become more relevant. If we join a conference, we become more attractive. Look how great that year was in 2020, the COVID year, when they were in the ACC, when they went to the ACC championship game. We all know the end result of that. They got blown out by Trevor Lawrence Clemson team, when Notre Dame beat them earlier in the year without Trevor Lawrence. So it just makes Notre Dame... It makes them more relevant. If Notre Dame can go 11-1, they slip up one time in a non-conference game, and they still go undefeated in their conference, and they win their ACC championship game, they will be able to get in automatically pretty much in the top 4 in the college football playoff format. Now, if they go to a 6 or 8 teams, it makes it easier for Notre Dame as a conference, I believe, as a conference champion, than it will as an independent. So if Marcus Freeman can do those 3 things at Notre Dame, of course, win a national championship, of course, have a star-studded quarterback, and get Notre Dame into the ACC permanently and make some changes, that will be great, because sometimes change is good. You got to get used to it, but you got to convince these old-style Notre Dame fans from the 1970s and 60s that believe in tradition and we're different. No, you got to throw that shit in the garbage, because things need to change at Notre Dame. It is 2021, pretty soon going to be 2022, and Notre Dame needs to be all about football here and win a national championship to shut up these naysayers, because I am tired of these people, these Notre Dame naysayers and haters say, well, Notre Dame's not in the conference. They don't play anybody. They only play one good team a year. And then when they are in a conference like they were last year for that short season in 2020 because of COVID-19, these people still complained about Notre Dame having an easy schedule. So listen, you can't make the Notre Dame haters happy, okay? They're still going to hate Notre Dame no matter what. And if Notre Dame could win a national championship, I'm sure they would make excuses or say something extremely outrageous that wouldn't make sense. Like, I got an argument with a Michigan fan. He sent me a text message of Notre Dame's schedule next year, and he forgot to leave out one team, the same team that his beloved Michigan plays, and that is Ohio State. Oh, Notre Dame's schedule looks really easy next year. They don't play anybody. Why should they be in the playoff contention next year if they get to that point? First of all, if they go undefeated next year and they beat probably a top 10 or possibly a top 5 Ohio State team on the road at night, a prime time game, which it will be, I think that gives Notre Dame a pretty attractive chance to become in the top 4 next year in the college football playoff as an independent. But of course, Michigan fans, their IQ is not really that bright, and they don't really realize that Notre Dame plays 12 games next year, not 11 like most college football teams do. Actually, 99.9% of college football teams play 12 games. Some teams actually play 13. It's not very often, but they do. So, you know what? You got to factor in the low IQ of Michigan fans, and you just give them the benefit of the doubt, and you just give them the ignorance is bliss kind of treatment, because they don't know better. And I just sit there and laugh at them because they don't realize that Notre Dame plays more than 11 games. So I just laugh at these people who argue with me about Notre Dame football having an easy schedule, because A, they can't count, and 2, they're Michigan fans, which means that they have a low IQ. So if those things can be delivered by Santa Claus, and Marcus Freeman can deliver these 3 things in the next 5 years, that would be the greatest Christmas present to B-Man right away. Now, these 3 presents won't be delivered on my lap in a couple days here on Christmas, but in the next 5 years, Christmas morning, if all these 3 things are accomplished, that will be the greatest Christmas present ever given to a Notre Dame fan by Santa Claus, of course. And that's what I have to say about that. That is pretty much it today. Leave a comment, leave some feedback. What are the most important things that you want out of life? If it doesn't have to be Notre Dame football, if it's a sports-related question, leave a comment below. Let B-Man know. Maybe he'll comment. Hit a thumbs up, hit a thumbs down. If you disagree with me, I'll talk to you guys later on down the road. And as always, go Irish. Take care, everyone, and Merry Christmas.